Hello and welcome to our special Veterans Day edition. Today, we honour the bravery and sacrifice of our military heroes. In celebration of this important day, we present a compelling story, The Echoes of War. This narrative delves into the life of James Hawthorne, a veteran grappling with the haunting memories of his service. As we explore his journey towards healing and understanding, we're reminded of the unseen battles many veterans face after their service. This story is not just a tale of struggle, but also a beacon of hope and resilience, mirroring the courage of our veterans. So, on this Veterans Day, let's pay tribute to our brave men and women in uniform, past and present, as we delve into the echoes of war. The Echoes of War. In the quaint town of Marrowville, nestled between dense forests and foggy hills, there lived a veteran named James Hawthorne. James, a man of few words, had returned from the war a changed man. The townsfolk whispered about the horrors he had witnessed, but James kept his secrets buried deep within him, like the shrapnel scars that marked his body. James lived in an old cabin at the edge of the woods, where the dense canopy blotted out the sun, and the nights were darker than pitch. It was here, in the stillness of his solitude, that the echoes of war began to creep into his reality. It started with sounds, distant gunfire, muffled screams, the clang of metal. At first, James dismissed them as figments of his haunted psyche, but soon these auditory hallucinations grew more vivid, as if the war was replaying right outside his cabin. One foggy night, James awoke to a chilling sight. In the mist, he saw figures moving, soldiers, their uniforms torn and bloodied, wandering aimlessly. He rubbed his eyes, believing them to be hallucinations, but the figures remained, their empty gazes fixed in the distance. The following days brought more apparitions. James would find himself staring into the lifeless eyes of his fallen comrades, their spectral forms appearing at his table, beside his bed, outside his window. He began to question his sanity, wondering if the war had finally fractured his mind. Determined to find answers, James ventured into the forest, following the phantom sounds of battle. The deeper he went, the thicker the fog became, until he was enveloped in a ghostly white shroud. It was here, in the heart of the woods, that he stumbled upon an ancient graveyard, untouched by time. Among the crumbling headstones, James found one that bore his own name. The realization struck him like a bullet. These were not hallucinations, but echoes from a past life, a life where he had fallen in battle, just like the spectral soldiers haunting him. As he stood there, the ghostly soldiers gathered around him, their expressions no longer empty but filled with recognition. They were his unit, his brothers in arms, waiting for him to join them in their eternal march. James understood then that the war was never over for those who perished in it. Their spirits were trapped, reliving their final moments over and over. He knew he had a choice: to join them in their endless cycle of torment, or to break free and find peace. With a heavy heart, James walked away from the graveyard, the sounds of war fading into the distance. He returned to his cabin where he spent his days trying to forget the horrors he had witnessed, both in life and in death. As James walked away from the ancient graveyard, the weight of his realizations pressing heavily on his soul, he felt a stirring within him, a glimmer of hope amidst the consuming darkness of his haunted existence. The spectral soldiers, his fallen brothers in arms, had vanished into the mist, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He trudged back to his cabin, each step heavy with the burden of his past. Inside, the familiar silence greeted him, a stark contrast to the chaos of the ghostly battlefield. The cabin, once a prison of his tormented mind, now felt like a sanctuary, a place where he could finally confront his demons. Sitting at his weathered table, James's eyes fell upon the old rotary phone, a relic untouched for years. His hands trembled as he contemplated the decision before him. He knew that to truly escape the echoes of war, he needed to break the cycle of solitude and silence that had governed his life. With a deep breath, James lifted the receiver and dialed a number he had memorized but never dared to call. The number of an old army buddy, Thomas, who had reached out to him years ago, offering support and understanding. The phone rang, each tone echoing in the quiet room. "Hello?" Thomas's voice came through, laced with surprise and concern. "Thomas, it's James," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "James, I wasn't sure I'd ever hear from you. How are you holding up?" "Not well," James admitted, the words feeling like a release. "I've been seeing things, hearing things. The war, it's like it never left me." There was a pause, and then Thomas's voice, steady and reassuring. "I understand, James, more than you know. It's a tough road, but you don't have to walk it alone." James felt a tear trickle down his cheek, a physical manifestation of years of pent-up emotion. "I think I'm ready to get help, Thomas. Ready to move on." "That's the best decision you could make, James. Let's get you the help you need. We'll do this together, just like old times." The conversation continued, with James opening up about his haunting experiences and Thomas listening, offering words of comfort and hope. By the time James hung up the phone, he felt a weight lifted from his shoulders. Thanks for watching. To support us, please like and subscribe.